Hey, this is Big Op coming right at you. Today's date is 2 2 2013. And we're on the internet taking a look at what's going on, where everybody's extremely upset with the laws Obama has passed, executive orders, and the NDAA, and for martial law in America. And one of the things that everybody is concerned about with talking about the Constitution that we have in America to be free and a free people. Well, one of the problems I have with this whole issue is this, where we have promising people, big people like Alice Jones with radio shows and all type of people and sovereignty people and where I come from as a so-called African American or so-called Black American or whatever it may be, where I stand at from my culture, you'll be surprised to know that I do support what Obama is doing. I do not support everything he says and some of his actions because I have a right not to agree with everything he said. But as the president of the United States and making executive decisions to move this country in a more safe manner, I support it. I mean, when you talk about taking all the people guns away, you taking their rights away. Well, over 75% of so-called Black Americans can't even carry a firearm anyhow. And another fact, when they say they will have the right to be over people's foods and the rationals of foods that they get, and they're going to be a part of all these things. Well, here's what I say about this. If you go to any so-called Black community, suburban community, you will find out that a percentage of 90% of the people in these communities are on welfare or some state or food stamps or some type of food programs that helps them every month and through the month to survive. If you really look at it, that is issues that have already been going on with the so-called African Americans, the so-called poor white class, the so-called poor Hispanic class. Whenever you have been getting fed for as long as you can remember, and your mother before you on government assistance, it's the same thing. They have been basically rationing the food out to you through stamps and through these situations. So you have to be able to open your mind up and look at the bigger picture. I think the Constitution was written good for the time it was written into. But as a so-called Black American, I believe that the Constitution was written unfair, unjustly for all the people in the world because it was written by the elite at that time and when so-called Black people were slaves. So therefore, there's definitely flaws in the Constitution. We definitely do need a new Constitution wrote for the new generation. And I think it's a fair field to say, hey, everybody turn your guns in. Why do you need guns to protect yourself? Let's go back to a place where take all the guns out of here and have an even government that has the arms that can come in and stop a situation or stop a wrongful act that's going the wrong direction and being brought through the highest of course, the right court system with no bias. So yes, I feel like it'll be an equal field if I don't have a gun and my neighbor don't have a gun. And I could drive hundreds of miles and nobody have a gun. Well, all altercations that you come up with and deal with, that it will be hand one-on-one hand combat if something got out of order. That will stop a lot of killings in schools where young kids just get guns and go in there and kill people. I mean, a lot of people are staying for this law if they lost a brother, a sister, a mother, a wife, a husband, a grandmother, a grandfather, a mentor, a teacher. You know, that child, you know, you agree with martial law to a point. Get the guns out of here. You know, let's get up under a real law, one law, where at least everybody on ground. But of course, the elite is not going to agree. And certain people and certain type of radicals that want to have guns and waiting to get a chance to kill somebody. Well, what I say with that is, if nobody have any guns, you don't have enough guns to take on the military anyway. And like I said before, the military has been taking care of us. So one of the best things what we should do as a human race is that work as well as we can hand in hand with the new government and the new system that's going to rise, and it's going to come. A new system got to come because you have too many different radical groups with too many different beliefs, and when you have these things, pretty soon the teaching or false teaching is going to start some type of crazy civil war in America on these grounds, you know, and if you can stop the weapons, if you can collect the guns, if you can get all the things that can affect our people, we can recognize who these terrorists are in this country. I think that'll be a thing for this country to keep moving forth in this 21st century. Because what we have here now is something that we got to understand, that if we can get all people, all humans, because I don't believe in different races. I believe in one race, in the human race. And if we could get all people on the same field, if we could get the right president in the House, or the president of America, the president of the United States, you know, where if we can get somebody in there, you know, and we can vote them in as the people, and they go in there and they stay in the office until they decide it's time to leave, and then we vote another one in. Because what we don't want is a lot of different people coming in with different ideas, different beliefs, some for the poor, some for the rich, some for their own nationality, you know what I'm saying, their own nation, because we have different nations. So as Americans, I would like to see one government that's set up by the president, which we would like to call the King of America, and the case being, let that person be the king until he stepped down, you know, and an heir take his place, whether if it's anywhere between 30 to 40 to 50 years, as long as he rules, you know, because as a people, that's the only way that we can bring this back. That's where we started at, with kings and queens. And anything moving back in that direction, I wouldn't feel like it's a bad direction. I would feel like it's meant.